Hi everyone, today we are going to discuss solving trig equations that have more than one trig function in it. And if you see here in example number 1, we've got a cos and a sine. Now, the goal is to use only one trig function. You either need cos or you need sine. Now, since I have a double angle formula, I've got cos 2 theta, I can use one of these three formulas down here that I provided for you. Which one makes the most sense? I think this one makes the most sense because we already have sine in the equation. So you want to pick the one that would change the cosine to a sine. So let's plug in what we have. We have 2 times cosine double theta, so cos 2 theta. So we're going to plug this in as 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. I know it says A, but you could definitely use theta. It's a different letter. Totally means the same thing. Minus 3 sine theta equals 1. So let's distribute this out. We would get 2 minus 4 sine squared theta minus 3 sine theta equals 1. Now, what should we let x equal? Well, we only have sines, so let x equal sine theta. So this would be 2 minus 4x squared minus 3x equals 1. Let's bring the minus 1 over, and we'd be left with negative 4x squared minus 3x, and 2 minus 1 is 1, and I'm going to put this on the end. Okay, now the leading coefficient here is negative, and we normally don't like that, so maybe we can bring everything to the other side by adding 4x squared, adding 3x, and subtracting 1. So do that all to this side as well. What would you get? 0 equals 4x squared plus 3x minus 1. Now let's see if we can factor this, because I think this would be a mess if we had to use the quadratic formula. So the leading coefficient is 4, so we're going to have to use the earmuff. So 4 times negative 1 is negative 4x squared. So what factors could I do? Let's try 4x and negative 1x. Yeah, that works. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, and 4 plus negative 1 is positive 3. So let's use earmuff, bring down the 4x squared, bring down the negative 1, and fill the middle with the 4x and the negative 1x. Now let's take out a GCF between here and here. The GCF is actually 4x. So we're going to take out a 4x. We're left with x plus 1. Here, the GCF would be negative 1 and negative 1. See how it's the same? So we do negative 1, parentheses, x plus 1. Why is it plus 1? Because you're taking a negative 1 and dividing it by a negative 1, you get a positive 1. Take out the x plus 1, and you're left with 4x minus 1 equals 0. Now you can do your t-chart. So here would be x plus 1 equals 0, 4x minus 1 equals 0. What would this be? X equals negative 1, add 1, 4x equals 1, divide by 4, x would be 1/4. Now what did we let x equal in the beginning? We replaced it for sine, so this would be down here, sine of theta equals negative 1. Now you should be thinking unit circle. So draw a unit circle and tell me at what y value do I have negative 1. And you should be telling me 270 degrees. That is your answer for here. Okay, now let's do the other side. Sine of theta is equal to 1/4. How do I find theta? Sine negative 1 of 1/4. So take out your calculators, and let's do second sine of 1/4. What do we get? About 14.47. What do the directions say around you? Let's look on top. Find all values of theta to the nearest tenth. Okay, so theta in this case would be 14.5. Now, where am I? Let's think ASTC. It says over here that sine of theta is positive 1/4. So what quadrants am I in? Here and here. Look at that. I have the 14.5. That's for quadrant 1. So let's find an angle now for quadrant 2. So quadrant 2 would be 180 minus 14.5. So we can go ahead and put that in the calculator. And we get 165.5. Here's my angle for quadrant 2. Here's my angle for quadrant 1. Now let's go back up and check to see if we did it correctly within the interval. What does my interval say? Between 0 and 360? Okay, we're good. We can keep all of them. Therefore, this problem has 1, 2, 3 answers. Okay, let's try example number 2. So example number 2, again, has two different trig functions. It's got a sine squared and a cosine. Now, why did I show you this trig identity? Because I can solve this trig identity for sine squared. If I wanted to do that, it would be what? How do I get rid of this cosine squared? I would need to subtract it on both sides. So therefore, sine squared theta is equal to 1. Remember, this one's going to stay, and this is going to move over. So 1 minus cosine squared theta. So we're going to replace sine squared theta with 1 minus cosine squared. So 1 minus cosine squared theta equals 1 plus cos theta. Okay, what do you think we should let x equal? Cos theta. So 1 minus x squared equals 1 plus x. Now again, we should probably move this negative x squared to the other side. So let's add the x squared and subtract the 1. Notice where I put the x squared, because you can't add it, they're not like terms with this x. This x and this x squared are not like terms. So what do we get? The 1's will cancel on both sides, so we get x squared plus x. Oh good, we can factor this. Take out a GCF of x, we're left with x plus 1. And then we can do our t-chart. So x is either equal to 0 or x is equal to negative 1. And what did we let x equal again? X was cosine theta. So cos theta equals 0 and cos theta equals negative 1. So my question is, let's focus on this one. Cosine of theta. You need a unit circle. So where on the unit circle is the x value equal to 0? And you should be telling me at 90 and 270. And then for the second part, cos theta equals negative 1, where is the x value equal to negative 1? You should be telling me 180. 3 answers for this one. Okay, we're going to try one more, and then you're going to be on your own for the last one. Okay, number 3. So how about we take out a tangent theta out of each? So this would be tangent of theta, parentheses. These cancel. I'm left with sine theta minus, what's tan divided by tan? 1. Equals 0. T-chart. So tangent of theta equals 0, and then sine theta minus 1 equals 0. We could add 1. So we get sine of theta equals 1. And how would I find all of my values? Well, we need a unit circle again. So tangent of theta is equal to 0. Fine. Where on the unit circle, when I divide y over x, or sine over cosine, do I get 0? You should be telling me 0, 360, and 180. So there are 3 values here for tangent. And the second part, sine theta equals 1, where on the unit circle does the y value equal 1? And you should be telling me at 90. So here, theta is 90. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 answers. Okay, please try number 4 for homework, and we will go over it tomorrow in class. As a hint, number 4 is modeled just like number 2, but it's a little different. All right, good luck.